Hello everybody, I'm back today with a really quick plein air sketch with my watercolors. It was such a nice day, I could not make myself stay inside doing homework, so I had to get out just for a really quick sketch with my dogs, and of course they were pulling me all over the place and getting themselves tangled up. I keep telling myself that if I take them out to paint, they'll get better at this, but I'm not sure because even though I don't take them out to paint every single day, I do take them out to walk just about every single day, and they're always just crazy, and I think that maybe they're just going to stay that way. So not sure what I'm going to do about that. Sometimes when I'm out painting, I think next time I'm going to leave them home. But I feel bad about leaving them home because they're already home while I go to work. So I think that, well, whatever. Anyway, so today I decided to do a quick sketch of an interesting looking tree, and I wanted to use my color very subjectively, and I just wanted to capture a sense of light. So that's really what I went for. Just doing a really quick and rough sketch here with my red colored pencil. And ultimately, I really liked how this sketch turned out. I definitely got to points with this sketch where I thought, I'm not so sure about this. But I stuck with it and kind of struggled through it. I had kind of a not ideal lighting situation. I was sitting underneath a tree, but you can definitely see that I'm getting some light just when I move the wrong way. So I was trying to keep everything in frame, keep everything out of the light, and trying to sketch at the same time. But ultimately, I think that it went really well. So that was it for my sketch, just really quick. And now I'm getting my water pen out and my watercolors and realizing I forgot a paper towel, so I'll just have to make do without a paper towel. And now I'm just going to kind of work on getting everything positioned so that I can try to keep things mostly in frame here for you. And I'm not going to use too many different colors today, just basically my yellow. I think this is Hansa yellow, Pyrrole red, and Payne's gray. I think that is pretty much all that I used for this painting. But I think in the end it really ended up looking nice and colorful, so like how it turned out. So I'm starting out with my yellow just to kind of map out where the really light areas are that are getting hit by the sun. I think it was about 5 o'clock or 5:30 when I went out, so the sun wasn't super low, but it was kind of at a nice angle where everything was really illuminated, so that was nice. And really, I kind of went over a lot of this with yellow. Another thing that I wanted to try to do was to maintain some white space, because that's something that I really like in watercolor. Well, I like when other people do it, but I struggle with it myself. I end up kind of going overboard and painting the entire page. So I decided that my strategy for this little sketch would just be to kind of let the background fade into white as it goes up toward the top of the paper. And then I would just basically ignore everything back there. And so I think that that really helped keep the composition nice and simple and really just focused on form and light. And so I mixed some Payne's gray in with my Pyrrole red so that I could get a nice muted violet, and I think that that made for a really nice contrast against all of the yellow that I put into place initially. And so I'm just going to start mapping out all of the shadows with this muted violet. And now I'm going in with a much more pigmented version of that muted violet just to start intensifying these shadows so that I get that really nice contrast that you see at this time of the day, where the sun is kind of getting low. There's lots of shadows, although there aren't many visible cast shadows in this particular composition just because I was sitting up on a hill, and so you can't really see the shadow being cast by this tree. And then right behind it, by the way, is just a little tiny creek. And so I'm going to treat that very, very loosely. Right now it's kind of just blocked in with that really nice light muted purple. And then right behind the creek, or along the edges of the creek on both sides, are just a bunch of rocks that have been placed there. This isn't a natural creek. It's kind of a little man-made feature on a college campus where I'm sitting at. And so I'm going to treat that area very, very loose and general, mostly staying focused on my tree, which was really the point of this study. Kind of struggling with my dogs here for a second too. They not only like to get themselves tangled up in their leashes, but they like to involve my legs in that fun. So sometimes I have to at least get my legs out of the mix. And now I'm going to lightly start giving the tree a little bit more mass, start giving it a few small branches and twigs. I'm really not staying terribly true to life on all of this. I just want to kind of capture the general essence of the tree without getting too caught up in every single detail. So I'm just going to keep all of that very light in value and the brush strokes really, really loose. So now I'm starting to glaze over the grass in the foreground where it's still very yellow, just using my Payne's Gray, and I've actually mixed it in with just a little bit of yellow on my palette, keeping that Payne's Gray really, really light and diluted with water so that the yellow really comes through, because I do want to capture that sense of spring. And now I'm just taking a couple of liberties with color, and I'm going to end up splashing some red in different parts of this little sketch just to add a little bit more visual interest, a little bit more vibrance and color. Not because that's what I'm actually observing. And really a big thing today for me was not to get too caught up in the literal colors that I was observing, but really to try to capture that sense of light. And so I was focused more on light and shadow than on actual color, but because it's watercolor and I love color, I wanted to just add some little splashes of interest here and there. So I think that it was actually a really successful, loose little painting. And then for these rocks on the side of the creek, just not, again, just like with the branches, not really getting caught up in every single rock that I actually can observe, but just kind of starting to develop that texture that I want. And then in the creek, there's some areas that are catching just a little bit of light, but mostly it was in shadow, so I went over that area with some Payne's Gray. And I think that that little bit of value actually helped tie the entire composition together a little bit better. Once I did that, it really felt like it was coming together and making sense in terms of the light. And then again, just kind of keeping it very loose in the branches. I want to add a little bit of tension, I guess, because everything in this composition so far is these larger shapes that are a little bit more simple. And so I like the idea of adding a little bit of a sense of tension with all of the branches, letting those be very kind of jagged and organic. And then again, just glazing over the grass to take that value down a little bit while leaving plenty of yellow so that I get a nice sense of light and variation in the greens that I'm creating. And now here again, I'm just adding some random splashes of red, so right into the creek. And when I first did this, it was, kind of a spur of the moment decision. And then once I laid it down, I thought, oh no, it's going to look like a river of blood. But ultimately, I don't really think that it did. And then I think it helped that I tied it all together just by adding some splashes of red throughout the tree as well, so that it doesn't look like just a red creek or a red splash in the middle of this composition. I really think that it actually helped pull it all together and made it look more like a complete color sketch, because a lot of times I find that when I do landscapes, especially with these particular colors that I'm using today, I end up going really heavy on the yellow and the Payne's Gray, and then it just doesn't look like a complete full color sketch. So I think just trying to find ways to add red into a landscape can make it look really vibrant and interesting. And I'm even glazing some red into the grass just a little bit to add a bit of contrast. All right, so now I'm just kind of looking it over, seeing if there's anything more I want to do, but also trying to be mindful of the fact that it's really easy to overdo it. One good thing about painting on plein air and doing sketches is that it does force you to work a little bit faster and looser, especially if you have two insane Boston Terriers with you who are just pulling you all over the place and barking at other dogs, which I, of course, edited that out of the video. But yeah, not too bad for just a really quick sketch. So I'm just going to pack up all my things into my little plein air kit. I have so many things in here. I really probably don't even need as much as I can fit in here, but whatever I am carrying around, I'm going to fill it with as much stuff as it will carry. All right, so this is still a little wet, so I'll just have to actually carry it along with me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this and are having a great day.